Hey, my name is Vernon Payne, and I am a comedian from New York City. It's been doing comedy in New York for a couple of years now, and total in comedy has been about 14 years or so. And this is comedy therapy. And I call it comedy therapy is because there are a lot of things that I have been thinking about being a comedian in the New York comedy scene, and a lot of the things that you need as a comedian. People think that like maybe you just need to put your jokes out there, do all these things, but there are a lot of things as a comedian that you need that most people don't understand. Comedy itself is just a very, very hard game, Like, the rules for comedy has changed in all the years. So, as you see now with comedians, they are doing skits, they are editing, they are doing all these other things other than like the actual idea of what stand-up is. Like, they are doing it, but there are these other fucking things that you need because the people who run shit or care about things only really care about your likes and your friends list, which pretty much doesn't mean that like the people who follow you are actually going to come out to your shows. Even if you get like, over 4,000 or 10,000 followers, the people who would follow you, it might be like 10, maybe 6, that actually come out to your shows. But in this one, I would like to talk about the thing that comedians need the most, and the thing that is sometimes hard to get because the comedy scene, especially the New York comedy scene, or just major city comedy scenes, don't necessarily allow. And the one thing that comedians need itself is just confidence in yourself. And that is really hard to come about. The people who are not good at comedy, or whatever not good is, and that is very subjective to what other people think, and there's a whole nother story about what that means, but they are very confident in themselves and what they do. And sometimes those people get ahead because they don't recognize like the not goodness inside of them. And the people who are good question themselves 10, 20, 30 times the most, which I think that a lot of artists do. But comedy is one of those things where like you need to have confidence in yourself, and it is very hard to have that in a system and an art style that doesn't necessarily allow that to happen. You have people who own clubs, who bookers, and all of these things that like make it seem that you are going to get ahead, and then sometimes you just don't. Sometimes no matter how much hard work you put in, it kind of falls flat and it kind of goes nowhere. Confidence is one of those things that like it's a tough thing to work on, and not like just confidence in self, especially confidence in your looks, confidence in dating, confidence, all these things. But when it comes to this art where you are supposed to make people laugh, confidence is the number one thing you need outside of jokes. And the comedian struggle is keeping up with that confidence. And not just people at like the level that I am at, people who are way higher than me. I constantly hear comedians who have made it, whose podcasts I listen to, who say that even though with the amount of money that they make, even though they have a crazy fan base, that they still don't consider themselves good. And people who are at my level look at them like, yo, what the fuck are you talking about? And this is like a constant thing that plays around in a comedian's head. And that shit is very tough to deal with. I say that to say that like if you are friends with a comedian or you just like a comedian, the biggest thing that you can do for them is to just follow them or share their stuff. Repost their stuff, share their stuff. It doesn't even matter like if you fuck with them or not. Just share their stuff. That is the most confidence-inducing thing. That can get someone else who may not know who this person is to be into them, no matter what they do. Having confidence is such a fucking hard thing to keep up. You know, you can have confidence in so many things in life, but when it comes to getting on stage, being that single person to make a crowd full of fucking people laugh, that shit's. I've made a crowd of 300 some odd people laugh, and it was amazing. And I have also bombed in a crowd full of fucking 10 people. Like, that's how crazy this game is. And sometimes the crowd full of 10 people weighs more than the crowd full of, 300 people. Confidence is a motherfucker. It is really the thing that we need as a comedian to get ahead. And that's the thing that, maybe comedians need to go to therapy for, to figure that shit out. But, yeah. Comedy therapy. Confidence.